Hello, everyone. This is the Red Baron at Baroncast. With me is Dan. I just came running into the room with the last, 2 seconds of the timer, just barely making it in.
Yeah, man. He was coming in. I was like, oh, man, you got 2 seconds, man. He's just running past me and sitting down.
I'm definitely really excited, though, because we do have Mono versus Fornot. And Mono, for any of you who had been watching, did qualify for IPL 4 at Las Vegas. And then Fornot, probably, I don't know how many of you guys know about them, but they've won a number of Go for LOL tournaments, I believe. And so they've definitely been kind of sitting around as a competitive team for a while.
Yeah, they're definitely a newer contender to the scene. So they're all really good players. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have a good showing today.
Okay, so what can you actually tell me about Fornot? Because I'm...
Fornot was the former Team Leaguecraft, and they got picked up by For Nothing Gaming. So... definitely not a new team.
Right.
They've been around for a while, but hopefully as team get more developed, they practice more, they just perform a lot better. And
right.
So it should be an interesting game nonetheless. Yeah,
so definitely two, up-and-coming teams here. For any of you who are kind of wondering, this is on the live patch. This is, our new... This is on the live tournament realm, so we do have the new patch here, the new champion, Fiora, any of the changes that have happened. I'm not, 100% all the changes. I recognize a couple of them. But have you been playing Fiora? What is your kind of experience
I have been playing Fiora. I played her for the first time. Last night I played her 2 games, and I played twice today. I had some really, really good first 2 games. Won them really easily. And then I just lost terribly the next one. And then I played a normal one. I went super godlike, 16-0 or something. And then I picked her up again this morning. I played her, and I was just demoralized. So, and, sometimes I just do really well. Sometimes I do really poorly. So I got to figure out where she excels and where she falls behind. Because some team comp she does really, really well against. And some team comp she just kind of stands there and hit people, and they take no damage. So it's just...
Yeah, I'm actually... right now basically the worst streamer ever as far as my own games, and you get a new kind of respect for people like yourself and Scar who stream and then are so active with talking while you're streaming and communicating everything that's going on.
I'm actually pretty bad,
but even so, it's compared with me, I'm a decent player. I've been fairly competitive, and when I start streaming, I'm like, yeah, let me give these guys a show, and I start tower diving people, and I start off 0-3, and I'm like, wow, I've fed the enemy now.
Oh, it sucks so bad because when you're streaming, other people watching, they're criticizing, and you're like, oh, did I really just do that?
Yeah,
and it sucks really bad.
And so it was nice. I played Fiora a little bit more today, and yesterday it was all pretty much terrible. But I got my ranked win with her today, and it was I don't know, just not doing a bunch of stupid whatever. And not diving the enemy, able to start off well, and then all of a sudden, just snowball. Because she is very much kind of a snowball champ.
She is. She's, it takes a while to get used to, but her ultimate's pretty good in the sense that it pops a projectile. It's like the old Flash.
Yeah.
Every time someone's about to nuke you and you see it flying at you, it's like, oh, I'm just going to hit R. Ah, damn, it doesn't hit me. So I've done that with Morgult a couple times. She gets the first tick off, and I hit R, and it pops her ulti, and I don't get the stun, and I'm like, oh, now you're dead.
Yeah, and actually, even if they do hit the stun and you time the ultimate, you'll be stunned, but you'll be stunned in your ultimate, and you lose the duration.
And you're still jumping around for, I think, 5 hits, and it takes 2 seconds, so it doesn't matter how long the stun is. You're still in pretty good shape. I think I did that with, might have done it with a Warwick ult as I was doing it, too, and that Warwick's like, what's happening?
Was he stationary? Could he not move? It was still working as the suppress, even though you were jumping around. So he was just sitting there.
I don't even remember. It might have. Okay. I might be confused. But what did happen was I was playing Heimer against St. Vicious yesterday. I was hugging a wall, and he tried to ult me through the wall. And so what happened was, since he wasn't placeable on the other side, he was just doing it on his own side, and he couldn't do damage to me, and I just killed him. It was hilarious. But That's a different story.
Yeah. So, I don't know. She has a lot of snowballing potential. I was kind of looking at her when originally she came in as kind of like the AD version of Cat. But I don't know. I think a lot of, the minor issues that hold her back, just the fact that you can counter her so effectively early. Is that kind of the impression you're getting? Do you expect that maybe down the line people will be like, oh my gosh, Fiora in competitive play, or is it going to have to work her out a bit?
I haven't really top laned her. I've only jungled her.
Hmm.
But I can see where she would excel top lane. Just right-click dependent champion. You know, you actually don't max out your speed boost. I forgot what it's called, burst of speed or something. I'd actually put extra points into riposte.
Yeah,
or
I've
riposte.
been maxing her riposte. Yeah.
Yeah, I usually max it side by side because, you know, riposte gives you more damage. It blocks more damage. It returns more
And
damage.
it's also cooldown reduction, so a
Yeah.
number of things. Yeah.
So I've been adding a lot more points into that, and the exchange, you actually win it pretty well. You go in, you do burst of speed, and then you hit them with the riposte as you run away. Because you're going to get up to max stacks pretty quickly, and you're running away, they try and hit you. You send a parry, and then you kind of like run away from them, and then you do that again. So they usually take about like 50% more damage than you, so I can't imagine that working against like a spammer range caster.
Right.
So if someone has a lot more range than you do, it might be a little difficult. But you can close it with Q. It's just that they're going to be nuking you as you run away. So,
well, we'll see where she goes. You know, right now she does kind of fall into that assassin role, and she the fact that she's got hard removal from the battle with her ultimate, not like
Yeah.
you know Talon, he goes invisible, which was nice, but she literally takes herself off the map. That's a pretty strong ability. So it's just whether or not you can farm well enough, get into that early game, and then how strong she'd be against some of the stronger laning champions like Irelia, like Riven, and whether or not she can hold her own in those kind of matchups.
I'd imagine Riven would do work on her because you
Right.
do have to close a distance, and riposte doesn't really work against Riven's spell spam. That's where most of her damage comes. Of course, you try to do some right click in between, but there.
Yeah, the in chat the teamers are the teamers. I don't even know what the 4-0 players are like. Oh man, Dan Din looking super sexy today. So I'll just throw that out there. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure to once again check us out youtube.com/IPLLOL. Subscribe there. Follow us Twitter at IGN Pro League. The Facebook promotion is over. I'm not sure if we've contacted those people yet. We'll figure it out, but. Even so, you can get lots of updates on the stuff that we're doing, what we're posting, facebook.com/IGN Pro League. This upcoming week, we're going down to Austin, Texas. So if you're in the area, come out to South by Southwest, and it's actually free to come in. Dan will be there. It'll be a fun show match. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And then IPL 4, April 6th through 9th. Tickets are available, tickets.ign.com. It's going to be a really awesome experience.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Okay, well, we should be in the game shortly. The one thing I'm kind of curious about is, I guess, what kind of a comp we'll see from these two teams. I haven't watched a lot of 4-0. We did see Mono kind of, very comfortable with that standard comp that they were running, where they were able to get Cassiopeia, the Graves and Janna bottom. They were always looking to kind of work that matchup, and then Rumble top gave them excellent AoE in fights. But we'll kind of see, whether or not 4-0 allows them into that comp, or what kind of versatility we can see from Mono.
Mono, personally, I think they're going to stick around that same champion pool. Ari, Cassiopeia mid. Might pick up Ryze too. Bottom lane, they definitely still want that Janna Graves. It's been doing really, really well for them. And top, I can either see, probably Aurelia again or Rumble. It's kind of funny because Aurelia counters Rumble, so... For 4-0, Kramer actually plays a really, really mean Gragas. He hasn't been playing him much, but if 4-0 wants to pick up like an AoE comp, Kramer's got a really good counter to that. And not only does he play that, he actually plays a really, really mean Cassiopeia too. So Mr. Paradoxical and Kramer might be fighting for that champion. So it may or may not be banned. It's just... So they may or may not know this about each other. It's like, oh, both. I'm gonna leave this open. Let's see who's gonna pick it first. So Parole, Bloodwater, they're the bottom lane. Bloodwater is support. Parole is AD. He's pretty good at most of the AD's bottom. I mostly see him on like Caitlyn and Vayne. So I wouldn't be surprised if those are picked up. But if they let Mono get Graves, Janna, so they're still going to have problems with Caitlyn, because really Graves does a lot of damage with a lot of burst damage with Janna. So with the nerf to the healing, If Bloodwater picks up Sona, which I usually see him play, they're still going to be pushed back a little bit. I think Moxigan, he used to be, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but it's like FHEGWE or something. He's a pretty good jungler. He likes to play, like the Skarner. I think he's been trying to pick up Malphite. He's been telling me to play Malphite on my stream so he can like kind of pick my brains a little bit.
Jungling or
jungling
okay,
Malphite, yeah. Oh, so the game's starting right now.
My jungling Malphite always kind of intrigues me because he's definitely, once he gets level 6, his ganks are just fantastic. He's got such a strong presence.
Yeah.
He is a very strong anti-carry as the game progresses. It's pretty easy to itemize for him because, I mean, he doesn't scale that well into super late game, but he is always a very strong anti-carry, and very quickly with a couple of health items and whatnot, you can, get in there.
He shuts down attack speed reliant champions. And so if you're like Vayne, he's one of the few counters to Vayne in terms of like tanking, because Vayne, she pretty much counters almost everything with true damage. Aramis rolls up, hits W. Sure, he's gonna do some damage with his defensive ball curl, but Vayne usually go bloodthirst anyways. He'll just heal through it, and after a few hits, you're like, oh my god, that's true damage and it's killing me. And so, the only way to stop Vayne is to slow down her attack speed or to hard CC her and kill her. And Malphite can do that.
My one concern with Malphite has always been, I mean, he seems like he's an exceedingly slow jungler. I mean,
he's actually one of the fastest junglers to
to
clear. This is that he has a really, really weak gank. Because if you think about it, his E and W are both AoE damage spells. So small camps, you kind of just walk up and slap it around a few times and it dies. And he doesn't really lose hit point with his passive, because he's basically has a shield for 10% of his health every 10 seconds. So
when you're jungling, do you actually, have Q as kind of a one-point wonder so you can clear faster, or?
No, actually I max Q for stronger ganks. If I'm losing a lot of health, I add either more points to W or E, because it makes it so you take less damage in the jungle. But if you just want like purely faster clear time, then you add a lot more points to W and E. But if you want to be stronger in ganks, you add more points to Q.
Yeah, I always remember when Malphite was such a strong laner, and you would, have him as an anti-carry lane as well as for the team fights, and you would always max Q early. But I was kind of curious because I always, saw him as a kind of slow jungling speed, and then also the fact that he's weak on ganks. But that's kind of interesting to hear that he clears pretty quickly. And then, with that ultimate, if you have really strong, aggressive lanes that you can pick up those kills early on, that's
he's more of to like stop Tryndamere, Aurelia, most 80s bottom. So if someone picks a bruiser top and an 80 reliant jungler, that's already my cue to pick up Malphite, because the expectation is someone's going to pick up 80 bottom too for a range 80 damage, and so you already countered 3 people on the team.
Well, looking at the picks so far, we do have Cassiopeia, Ari, and Vladimir all banned from 4-Not, trying to kind of ban out those comfortable AP champs that Mono kind of likes to fall into. And then Lee Sin, Rise, and Shen all banned from Mono eSports, so not allowing 4-0 to get those kind of tanky bruisers. So it should be kind of interesting to see. That kind of signifies to me that maybe Mono is trying to have kind of an aggressive early game team, maybe one that's a little bit more burst damage if they are trying to ban out some of these tankier champs.
I wouldn't be surprised if 4-Not picks up Taric bottom, just because the burst damage is really good with Graves. If Taric can get next to somebody with a stun and shatter, it's sort of like amplifying Graves' damage by reducing their armor. So instead of getting like a Janus shield, you got the physical damage or armor reduction.
And I guess the thing to consider is, with the changes to Sona, she's still very strong as the game progresses, but her laning phase reduced a little bit, and Misfortune and Janna are 2 of the strongest harass laners in the game. So if the pick was to be a Sona, do you think that would be something that Mono would be able to take advantage of? I mean, clearly it's not anymore.
I felt like for 4-Not, Taric was the best choice. There's just so much more kill potential with Taric Grave. And with Janna and MF, the matchup, It's gonna be like mostly just micro bursts. You get the shield on to block damage and return with a right click double up, and you just kind of back out. I feel like if they just go off to like a right click contest, Graves Taric might be a little bit stronger.
And because of Graves' passive, along with the Taric heal, it's just a little bit safer of a lane. So they definitely, can push an advantage, but because Janna doesn't have any inherent heal, they'll have the advantage there.
I feel like if they just kind of clump up and start fighting each other, the Taric Shatter will hit both people, the Graves Buckshot will hit both people. So depending on who the shield goes off, they can just easily switch target, and both would lose moderate amount of health. So in terms of like bursting somebody down, Graves Taric's got that burst potential, so if there's a gank couple with that, it's a lot stronger too.
Okay, and we do have Paradoxal is going to be picking up Gragas. You did say that Kramer, is a very strong Gragas. So, not only not allowing him to have that pick, though he's probably already going Morgana. I guess the Gragas really, it helps to counter out the AoE that they 4-0 has. They do have, that kind of melee bruiser team with Shyvana and Volibear to kind of get up in your face.
I feel like 4-0 is counter picking themselves because Volibear is not going to be able to.
How is Olaf going to do top? So how is Olaf going to, do
Olaf
against
versus
Volibear? That's going to be tough for Volibear.
I actually haven't seen the matchup, but I would imagine Olaf winning the exchange.
Right.
With the buff to Olaf, he's, it's going to be, no, they switched it. It's going to be Aurelia instead.
Okay, but even so, doesn't Olaf win that matchup? Like I know it's understand it's pretty even. It's a lot of it comes down to play and jungle presence.
I feel like Olaf would win versus Volibear.
Okay.
If everything's even, it's easier for Volibear with a jungle gank to kill Olaf pre-6. That I don't know the jungler yet, so
right.
There's really no comparison. It might even be Olaf jungle, to be honest. I think they're debating, should I jungle Olaf or should I top lane Olaf? Okay, yeah, it's going to be a jungle Olaf.
So Kennen, definitely a really strong top laner. Irelia should have enough sustain, I would think.
Irelia doesn't hard counter Kennen, but he does. Irelia does really well. She does really well versus Kennen. Probably post 15 minutes, so Kennen's definitely going to have a hard time. So if it comes down to just like farming, nobody killing each other, Irelia is going to have the clear advantage after the 15-minute mark. So Olaf just, if he gets 1 or 2 kills early, he's going to be unstoppable. Just the nature of the champion, it's really hard for him to gank, but if he can get a gank off, he's going to do work the entire game, and there's really nothing 4-0 can do to stop him. Olaf's one of those champions where if he gets fed, he's just going to tear everything up. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can get to that point. And, he like in a standard game without a lot of kills, Olaf gets pretty unstoppable about like 30, 35 minutes. So basically every kill he gets is going to bring that like about 2 minutes closer.
And I kind of always like the matchup of Gragas against some of these melee bruiser comps that we're seeing now. Because, they are trying to kind of, just rush you and provide a safe wall, basically, for their DPS in the back. But then Gragas can kind of split the team. He has some poke, but then when you're trying to engage, he just splits your team in half. And now instead of a 5v5, it's a 5v2.
Yeah.
So
depending on how it is, 4-0 does have really, really short range comp. And so it's very easy to disperse them. Not so much... Well, it feels like if Shyvana hasn't used her ult, even if she's dispersed, she can close that distance again. If Graves still has his quick draw, he can close that distance again. Same with Aurelia, she can dash back in. So it's all about timing. You have to wait for those champions to, burn their spells before you can do a proper ultimate. And it's a little, schizophrenic with Gragas Kennen, because one you want them to clump, one you want to disperse. So depending on the timing of their ultimates, I feel like it can either be very, very beneficial or just very detrimental. Because if you think about it, if Kennen opens first and then Gragas throws in his Bureau mid-ult, they're going to disperse him outside of Kennen's ult. I feel like if Kennen initiates, gets his full ult off, and then Gragas disperse him afterwards, like knock 2 back or 3 forward or 2 back and 3 back and 2 forward, then they can pick off whoever they knock forward, and they should be stunned at the same time still for maybe like half a second. So it really depends down to Fornot's positioning and team fighting. You know, if you don't allow Kennen to get a good ult, it's not gonna be good either for Mono.
I don't know. I'm kind of curious, you know, as far as these team matchups are going to go, how it'll go into the game. I definitely, I like a lot of what both teams are trying to do. I think Mono, in my mind, would have an early game advantage, particularly in team fights once we start, you know, seeing them group up potentially around Dragon. And both junglers could actually be, you know, kind of an early Dragon. They have that kind of potential if they are going with like a standard Wriggles build.
I'm not sure exactly how Nintendo builds Olaf, but I feel like Dragon potential, you know, Fortnite is definitely gonna do a lot faster. So I know that for sure. Just because the thing I was talking about is just the attack reset on Shyvana. You're gonna get an attack speed debuff when you're attacking Dragon, but the attack reset doesn't really get affected by that. So, you know, he's getting more hits off.
So we do see Olaf actually starting with boots. You know, they'll definitely help him clear a little bit faster. I'm kind of curious, you know, whether or not, I'm sure he's tested this out actually, but, you know, with the new jungle and how fast things are respawning, how those boots affect. We do have 4-0 coming in here, and there's the CB. We do have Tarek coming forward, going to try and get a stun. There's the body slam out, and the bind from Morgana just barely missing. But trying to come in pretty aggressively early on. They're just going to back out now, and we'll see how that goes. But do you think that because he's starting with these boots of speed, that it's kind of indicative that he's looking to just kind of skip like an early, you know, Wriggles and go straight into like Heart of Gold or any sort of early kind of tanking items? Or
I don't think he's gonna be going GP10 build in the jungle, especially with Olaf, because GP10 basically you're delaying your usefulness so you can be more useful late game. And I feel like he's just going to try and get more damage, either more Dorans or go faster Phage, or he might even just go like a Vamp Scepter. That's all he really needs to sustain in the jungle. And he's going to go damage from then on. I think the Boots of Speed is more for mobility and getting to where he needs to get there, and to gank also. You know, you have movement speed boots. That means you can, if you can land your double axes on somebody and pick it up, you can just keep on slowing them down for the duration of the lane that they're forward. So having the boots of speed is going to allow them to close the distance to land the first axe off. Because if you can get the first axe off, the second axe is so much easier.
That kind of always was the thing with Olaf, is the difficulty in landing the first axe with the ability to dodge. But with that kind of, you know, strong ganking potential that we're talking about with the boots of speed, do you think that it's likely he'll try and pressure top lane and, you know, not allow Irelia to farm particularly?
He's definitely going to pressure top lane. I feel like Olaf is going to pressure top lane the most, just because of how well Irelia scales against Kennen. So he's going to need to harass Irelia and give Kennen a really, really easy time in lane and deny Irelia a lot of farm. That way she can't get to that point where she can just infinitely sustain Kennen and just beat him out of the lane in mid-game. If Olaf is able to delay Irelia like 5 minutes, Kennen's going to get strong enough to just continually hold his advantage. So we're going to expect a lot of ganks top lane.
Okay. And it's kind of interesting. Shyvana just clearing a couple of creep waves just to get herself the early boots so that she can, you know, be more aggressive, trying to gank and then also clear a little bit quicker. So as a result, Olaf has a slight advantage, you know, as far as levels right now. He does have the double buff and is actually moving up top. So we'll see whether or not he can get in onto Irelia here. Should be able to chunk her actually. And actually, Irelia using her Blade Surge to get in on those creeps means that she's not going to be able to get away as easily. But the Surge to Olaf and then the Flash, you know, definitely helps her out there.
I felt like Olaf's a little confused. After the dash, he just kept on running towards the brush. Had he just shift clicked, it would have just attacked Irelia immediately. You kind of want to shift click as you move into the brush anyway, so you can attack whatever the first thing you see coming out.
And one thing that's kind of interesting to me is, I guess we'll have to see later on, Morgana's shield, it will protect against Gragas, but if Olaf's spamming those axes, then, as its physical damage, it won't be blocked by the shield. So we'll see whether or not, that affects anything.
So it appears like
there.
Olaf is maxing his axes. Maxing axes actually makes you jungle a lot faster, because when you use W with it, it's going to give you a lot more life leech. So maxing axes means that you have to land it to deal damage in order to gank, or in order to gank you have to land the axes to do a lot more damage. So he's changed his ganking potential into like a skill base. So depending on how well he lands it, that's how well he's going to gank.
And we do see, some good harass going off from both champs mid. They'll, for the most part, be looking to farm. Olaf actually walking up and catching Irelia as she's trying to drop that ward, so I'm going to dissuade her for a second, which is just really effectively denying her some of this farm. At what point, I don't know, do you kind of think this lane's going to turn over for Irelia? Is it really going to come down to when she gets like an early wit's end? Or
well, if you look at the CS right now, it's 19 to 35. It's a 16 right. CS difference. There's about like 8 built up in lane, so if she gets all of them, she's going to be only down 8. But realistically, she's down more like 10 to 11, because she's going to be able to get most of them. So I feel like if she's denied enough in lane, it's going to give Kennen more time to just zone her. And depending on if she dies as well, which is potentially can happen still at this point, it's going to put her even more behind. So like with the rate things are going right now for Irelia, it feels like she's not going to be able to lane against Kennen for at least 10 to 12 more minutes.
And Shyvana is coming up top. Her red buff did just wear off, so not really a lot of aggression that can be had there. Shyvana's kind of already, a weak ganker just looking to chunk her, but without the red buff and with Irelia so low, it'll be, pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's the thing, is Irelia is such a safe laner to begin with, and they've got, Shyvana as that, kind of quick clearing, counter jungling kind of jungler. So, with that early advantage that Irelia has, it'll be kind of tough for, or that Kennen has, it'll be kind of tough for Irelia to get back into the a good position in that lane.
So basically what's happening right now for Irelia is Kennen's getting those auto attacks off, and he's saving the passive, so when she comes up and dashes the creeps, he can right click her and uses his AoE for anything that has a mark on it, because he can apply a mark just by right clicking. So that's how Irelia is losing hit point, but she's actually maxing W like I was assuming so she is sustaining really, really well at this point. So by level 9, she's going to have a lot of life leech, especially if she's going Wriggles. Let's see what she's going. No, she's going MR right now, so if she gets any form of lifesteal in there after her Merc Shreds, she's going to be able to sustain, and I'd give it about like 8 more minutes until she starts laning even against Kennen, even behind in farm.
And both of these champions mid definitely, kind of mana hungry, need that early blue, so both teams kind of going for the counter jungling, but for nothing, because they're able to do it as a team. Morgana will have that mana advantage over Gragas. We'll see how that works out, but Gragas is actually coming up top, going to try and knock Irelia out. She did use her ultimate already, so I'm assuming Kennen has already told him there's the body slam, the ignite, and then the ultimate knocking her back. Gragas is going to be able to get out of there, so a quick kill gives them first blood. So, I don't know, pretty effective play. Once again, all this CS being denied from Irelia. She's going to be, 2 levels behind Kennen coming forward. And a lot of it's, kind of coming down to that, teleport. There's the early gank from Nintendo, definitely helped out a lot. And then Kennen just able to throw off that excellent harass as the lane progress.
I think Kennen just naturally beats Irelia in lane early.
Right.
And so she has to play really safe and get the farm in. The thing with Irelia is she can be behind in farm and, get to that mid game and still be able to beat out Kennen. So you really can't rule Irelia out. But having died that, it's going to delay the point where she can actually make a comeback. And if she dies even more, she's never going to get to the point where she can 1v1 Kennen.
And bot lane, pretty even, but we did see that Mono, nothing real here. He did start off with the cloth armor, so he would be a little bit safer against, you know, Graves, because like you were talking about, there is a lot of burst potential when, you know, Taric gets that stun off, uses his W.
Yeah.
So Nintendo actually coming up here, going to be able to steal that red, and then chasing down Shyvana here, actually going to turn away and turn his attention up to Morgana. So they should be able to just back out of there. We'll see actually after the shield comes off, if they can get that ultimate and knock Morgana out. It just lasts a little bit too long.
So actually, like, Nintendo can 1v1 Shyvana at this point. You saw Shyvana run up, get chunked, and just run immediately. The reason why Nintendo didn't want to pursue it anymore is because Graves' Taric is just so much closer than MF, Janna, and also Morgana was coming behind. So it could have potentially been like a 4v2. So it's better to just like steal the buff and run. And he actually did a good poke harass where he's going to force Shyvana back to base too. So there's just all upside right there for him anyways.
That's true, and regardless, you know, he probably would have been able to pick up the Shyvana kill, but then giving the double buff to Graves would just kind of put that bot lane at such a disadvantage. But we're seeing, you know, Olaf just having a really effective jungle so far, has been counter jungling pretty aggressively, helped out top lane a little bit, and it's kind of interesting to see he's 2 levels ahead of Shyvana at this point.
Oh, he stole the blue wraith too. That was just some blind axing. And he probably had an idea that it's there, but the chance of him getting it is pretty low, and it's just really good timing. It might have been a CV2. I didn't see it drop, and it could have been at the other side of the wraith. But just really good timing on those axes. He picked up the wraith, and I bet Shyvana is really upset right now.
Yeah, they didn't have vision. It was just the you know, with the ward, they were able to see that they were actually going into the wraith, and so like you said, just perfect timing. Once again, coming in on Morgana mid, he will be able to slow her down, you know, because the shield won't be able to block his axes. So if Gragas can kind of knock Morgana over to her range. But we do have 4-0 coming down for this dragon, and they do have vision. We do have the CV from Janna, and they're all going to be coming in here. This is going to be really dangerous for them, particularly with how strong Nintendo is, and he throws off his ultimate, and we have Shyvana going down almost immediately. There's the barrel from Gragas is going to knock him back. Misfortune with the ultimate. Aurelia is coming down here, but it is a clean sweep for Mono. They were able to take that dragon and then pick up a couple of kills. Graves here going to try and take out Janna, going to flash over that wall. But yeah, pretty impressive play by Nintendo so far, and a number of kills for Mono.
So the thing with Nintendo is he can't get snared with his ultimate, so he was just able to like run in there, throw his axis and smite it really quick. And as Aurelia is teleporting into the fight, Kennen just dove onto her, hit his R, and was able to stun Aurelia before the teleport got off. So I was worried that it was going to be a 5v4 fight, but it ended up being a 4v4 fight. So it's beneficial for Mono because Shyvana had been taking Dragon and took almost half her life just from Dragon. So Nintendo was able to get in there, throw some axes on her, and do his double-edged damage. And she dropped rather quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate from Olaf just being able to just completely ignore Morgana, since she's supposed to be the control for their team, and then the follow-up with Gragas, you know, was just really impressive. I guess we'll have to see how it continues going forward, but so far, you know, Olaf has definitely been pretty dominant in this game, and it's, I don't know, kind of interesting to, you know, consider him coming back into competitive play. But we do have Pixel getting caught out there. There's the stun and then the snare for Morgana. They're going to be able to pick up that kill.
That was really quick. Basically, just with the stun and the snare, she just dropped instantly. There's no way she's going to live that.
And I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a lot of ward coverage from Mono so far in this game. They, you know, did have the wards down here in the tri-rush. They did, you know, kind of recognize that there wasn't really that much of a presence from Shyvana, but no river wards so far this game, and Morgana able to just come down through mid.
Well, the expectation is you see Shyvana on the map, right?
Right.
And Morg, if she is going to gank, she's going to run down through her jungle through tri-brush. So the illusion of safety was there. And so what they didn't expect was, you know, Morgana was still in the vicinity after Dragon was stolen, you know, so he just kind of swung around through river.
So now, coming into the mid game, we already have a slight advantage for Mono here, and, you know, Kennen definitely doing an excellent job top. This tower is almost down. and then just how strong Kennen is compared with Irelia at this point. But how do you expect the mid game to kind of go? Because it seems like 4-0 is really going to have to stall out this game a little bit with just
definitely.
how strong Mono's team fights are going to be.
It's just that, you know, if you think about it, purple team's gotten Dragon, right? And, you know, the Irelia Kennen matchup, you're expecting like maybe a 20 CS differential. It's actually 72 to 123, so it's well over 50. Oh, it's not well over 50. It's at 50 exactly. So the point where Irelia can lane against Kennen is extended even further. You know, earlier when I said it's going to take like at least 10 more minutes for her to be able to lane against Kennen, you factor in the dying and the CS difference. It's going to take even longer now. And if they fall further and further behind, even if Irelia excels against Kennen late game, you know, slightly behind in farm, if Irelia is too far behind in farm, you know, she's still going to die.
And I'm absolutely just thrilled to see, you know, this really strong play by Mono, and we'll have to see, you know, kind of how 4-0 tries to bring the game back in their, you know, kind of side. But we actually have Tarek and Graves jumping on Janna down bottom. They will be able to pick up that tower, so that's definitely a kind of boon to them. Just going to back out because Olaf's coming down here. But this isn't the kind of team that we've seen them running. It is still heavy AoE, so they will have that great team fight control. But you know, Olaf has just been so fantastic in this game, and they've won every single lane basically except for bottom lane, and they've been able to keep that, you know, pretty even. So it is pretty interesting. You know, they do know that Olaf's down here, so they really won't fall to that gank, but they will be able to push up and take this tower pretty easily, particularly with Gragas coming down for the gank.
I'm actually surprised he did go the GP10. I can see how it makes sense because Olaf does scale off of health.
Oh wow, Shyvana coming here and jumping onto Misfortune. Irelia with the teleport coming down, and Misfortune is taking a lot of damage, gonna have to run out of there. There's Gragas coming onto Morgana here, but this is a huge one fight for 4-0, and there's the snare, so Gragas is actually going to go down as well with the ignite. So 2 kills for nothing for 4-0. Mono was able to take the dragon though.
Yeah, that was 2 kills for nothing.
But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised because it seemed like it was going to be a pretty even exchange, but because Morgana was able to get in there and with the teleport from Irelia, yeah, they weren't really able to get the good positioning that they want. And I think
the teleport from Irelia is probably what won them the fight. The trade-off with Irelia and teleport is she can turn fights around, but she's gonna lose lane with it. If had Irelia gotten more like a offensive center spell, she would have been able to lane against Kennen and actually maybe kill him, maybe at like 20 minutes in. But the trade-off is you give your team the advantage at your own disadvantage. So I'm just glad that it paid off. In some cases it works out, some cases it doesn't. But in that case, it's actually a really, really good teleport by Irelia.
And it'll be kind of interesting. We actually have, there's the slow from Olaf, and once again, the slow is not blocked by the shield, so they can keep chasing, but the shield just lasts so long. So Gragas can't get off that ultimate. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't kind of just throw a barrel to try and pop it, and then, you know, see if he could get the ultimate back. But I guess we'll kind of see. I mean, you know, 4-0, they definitely have an extremely tanky team. If they can, you know, get strong enough where they can just kind of run up on them. I don't know, where would you say the late game kind of goes? You know, which team would have generally an advantage there?
Well, the late game goes, I believe, to Mono, just because, you know, Olaf is getting to that point where he's going to be a huge problem. He just needs to get some levels. Once he gets enough levels in, Shyvana's tankiness doesn't mean anything to him. So you're going to see a Shyvana just nosedive into the fight and thinking he can tank everything, but he's going to drop rather quickly to the true damage Olaf is going to be able to output on him.
I'm kind of a little bit surprised that Kennen hasn't come down yet. You know, that top lane is going to be pushing, but they will be kind of at a little bit of a disadvantage for a second here. They are kind of pinging down to potentially go in for this blue, which would be kind of surprising because they definitely don't want to fight in the jungle AoE, I would think. You know, when Gragas is just going to be able to toss on everyone, and then the axes from Olaf just going to hit all of them. But this is actually kind of stalling for a little bit.
I feel like this is a free dragon for Mono just because Irelia is top and she recently used her teleport. Yeah. So, you know, being behind already, you don't want to fight 4v5. So 4-0's just going to back out and they're just going to get the dragon and go back to farming.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised to see Aurelia swap up there because she was, ahead of Kennen to a degree, but I guess they decided that they weren't going to have any potential for an engage there.
Just
and it's
at this
smarter to
point in
farm.
the game, Fortnite recognizes that they're too far behind to team fight 5v4. I mean 5v5 anyway, so they just sent Aurelia up top and farmed and hopefully push it fast enough where Kennen can lose out some creeps to tower, but Kennen is going to be able to get back and only lose maybe like 1 or 2.
So Misfortune as an AD, she does have pretty short range, which I don't know, kind of makes it a little bit difficult for them to just push down towers. Otherwise, I would feel like with their AoE team, they could just kind of poke towers at this point and force the engage from 4-0. But what do you think would be key for Mono to kind of continue with the advantage that they have right now in this early team fight?
Just at this point, they can pick up all the objectives they want because they're far enough ahead that they can just passively farm, pick up every single dragon, and they can just fight that way. Because I feel like they just have a really, really good late game team fight comp too. So you let it extend to late game, they're gonna win. So they just need to not lose the advantage, and so at the same time they're able to also secure the advantage with the dragon. So I feel like Mono is just going to get a bigger and bigger lead from here on out.
Okay. Well, they definitely have that early game lead. We do have Gragas going for the early Rabadon, so he's going to have that kind of explosive ability. And then Kennen actually going for a Realize as opposed to a early, Zonia's. I would kind of expect the other, but can you talk about that kind of decision? I mean, it does give them a continued slow, so...
So the whole thing is when do you decide between going like Hourglass, Death Cap, and Realize? You want to go Hourglass when you feel like you're going to get a lot of CC and you're going to die before you can get your damage off. So getting an Hourglass will allow you to get in the middle of everybody and CC them and deal your damage. And so Kennen doesn't really need a quick Hourglass because they're far enough ahead where he's not afraid of getting gibbed. So he thinks that getting an Hourglass is not a priority. Getting, a Death Cap would mean, alright, I need to do a lot of damage and burst them down. And so he doesn't really need that either because his team is also far enough ahead that they can make up for whatever damage that he's lacking. Getting Realize just, adds a lot of CC. If they can catch off anybody, their team can finish him off. So he's more team-oriented with a Realize than he is with, like, say, an Hourglass or a Death Cap.
Awesome. So, I don't know, we do have the Wit's End from Aurelia. Shyvana did get that early Aegis, so they will be kind of able to sustain a little bit through all of this, I don't know, poke and magic damage that we do have coming out of Mono, but... I don't know, where do you think that will go from there? Where's their item choices in order to, and how are they going to try and farm in order to be able to tank through all of this AoE damage?
I feel like they just need to make plays happen at this point. If they can catch people with Morgana's Binding, you land it on a key target and they can gib it, then they can turn it around. But other than that, it's going to be a really, really uphill climb for Fortnite right now. The reason they're able to sustain right now is because Gragas doesn't have blue buff, and Morgana did. But the moment Gragas gets his blue buff, he's going to just be able to throw those barrels out continually, and he doesn't really lose anything. He's going to be able to chunk people. But you see Aurelia up top right now. She's trying to get us as much farm as she can. She's able to close a gap in CS, actually. So she's not as behind as she was earlier. And the expectation is Aurelia is going to be behind in CS because of the early game disadvantage. So being able to close...
Oh, wow. There's the barrel from Gragas taking a chunk off of Graves' health there. Almost getting the engage. I felt like Kennen almost could have flashed in and just ultimated, and they would have had enough damage behind Kennen to, pick up that fight there.
If they're going to fight, Kennen would have had to initiate that fight, because the moment Gragas throws his casket out,
right,
they're going to disperse, and he's not going to be in a position to land a good ultimate. So if I felt like that casket was more of just to clear the way, poke him, take him really low, because they weren't planning on team fighting anyways. He's just trying to send them back because they wanted to go back.
Well, this is starting to get in the point in time where I would normally say that they, I don't know, could maybe try and pressure Baron for the objective, but Olaf will do pretty well against Baron, can tank it fairly easily, but otherwise they don't really have a lot of team damage. They have, you know, Misfortune, so do you think that that's something that we'll see them start pressuring now, or maybe wait a couple of minutes?
I feel like at this point they still think it's pretty risky to do Baron unless they have just won a team fight. They don't really want to just go there. Because you keep in mind Baron does quite a bit of damage, and they don't have enough sustain to stay high enough HP so that if a team fight is to break out, they're going to fight on even levels. So if, say hypothetically, if Mono does start Baron, Baron's going to be able to take like, say, 20-25% of Mono's health, and start at that big of a disadvantage, they're going to still lose. The possibility of losing a team fight is still pretty high, so I don't think they can want to risk it. The most likely situation is if like 3 people, maybe 2, show themselves down bottom where they're clumped near Baron already and they can just rush it, or they've just won a team fight and the risk of getting stopped at Baron is really low. So right now
we do have a dragon up, so
yeah,
you know, we'll probably see Mono kind of pressuring this dragon. They're actually going to allow 4-0 position here, and Irelia with the teleport, so it is a 5v4 in 4-0's advantage, at least until Kennen gets up here. Nintendo actually coming in is able to steal it with his ultimate and then able to get out of there. There's the ultimate from Gragas trying to push them away, but Morgana is chasing and Olaf's just going to be able to get out of there. And then Shyvana's going to be chasing as well. And so they're able to pick up Janna, and then Misfortune had actually killed Aurelia a little bit ago, and now Misfortune's just going to be chasing them down. They definitely have a huge advantage in this fight. Olaf is going to be trying and getting that kill on Tarek along with Gragas, and is able to do it. And then Kennen is going to be chasing down Graves there. So an ace for Mono, and they're actually going to be coming over to Baron, so, you know, definitely a huge fight for them. I'm kind of wondering, I would think they have enough, you know, sustain. They're pretty low, though.
You know, Olaf does get a lot of lifesteal with his W, so depending on how many points he puts into it, he should be able to sustain it, especially with the Will of the Ancients. Everybody is getting lifesteal off the Will, and so every time you spam a spell, even if it's physical, you're still going to be able to get some health back from it.
And with that Baron, you know, the big thing is just having all that regen when they already have kind of a poke team. They didn't have a heal, so Janna versus Tarek, you know, when people were getting caught by Morgana and she's throwing off her pull, it was kind of, I don't know, putting them in a bad position. But do you expect that we'll start to see them pushing down towers aggressively now with that regen? Yeah,
you're definitely going to see Mono start taking towers. They're probably going to start with mid. Just everybody head down mid. Unless somebody wants to clear top, but they're just going to try and take all the exterior tower, because if you think about it, right, Gragas does have blue buff, Morgana doesn't have it, so his poke and his wave clear is just incredible right now. He can take down the entire wave just by himself at this point.
And with the Phantom Dancer on Misfortune, you know, they're definitely going to be able to drop these towers pretty quickly. And I guess the big thing is that, you know, even though Misfortune is short range, and they have, you know, Morgana and Shyvana and Aurelia, all these people who can close on her, all the damage that Olaf has now and all the AoE that Kennen and Gragas have, if they are going to want to engage on Misfortune, then they're already going to be losing that fight.
The thing is, Misfortune is relatively safe this game. She can go up and right-click the tower without being too terribly in danger, just because there's Gragas ult to knock them back, and there's Janna ult to knock them back, so they can't really Zerg.
Just the Q from Gragas, able to take Parole down to half health. And that's, I guess, that's the power of the late game Gragas. He's always, you know, had that great poke and just can instantly win you any fight, basically.
I wouldn't be surprised if Gragas just throws his Q and R on the next wave just to distract them and knock them back a little bit and just take tower, because it is on like about a 35-second cooldown, so he doesn't really lose much. And just by doing that a couple of times, he can...
Olaf's actually going to be able to come in, and they're going to be able to get that kill onto Graves. And then Kennen following it up. Shyvana's very close to going down, but is going to back out of there. And now they're actually in a great position to take the second tower if Olaf just comes up and tanks it. And with the shield from Janna, he will. So they're going to back out, straight tanking a little bit. But this should be an inhibitor for Mono fairly easily. And then I guess we'll see how they continue pushing from there. But at this point, what can 4-0 do? I know it's, you know, they're really far behind. They really just need to wait out the Baron, but
they're basically they're about like 12.5k gold behind, so like coming back at this point that far behind, you know, if they get the next Baron, they get the next 2 Dragon, and they get an Ace, I feel like Mono is still going to be ahead in gold.
Right.
And on top of that, like I was telling you earlier, how Olaf is going to be a late game beast.
Yeah.
And he's kind of getting there already, so he's just going to be able to like run up and just decimate everybody in their team anyways. So unless they make some really, really big plays and, you know, Mono messes up really, really badly, I don't see Fortnite coming back. I just see the Mono just extending their lead. They're gonna probably like swing top, swing bottom, clear all the waves, push the waves out, and have it build up. I'm not sure if top is pushing naturally or not already, but you know, if it doesn't, it's gonna reset at tower and then it's gonna push naturally within a minute anyways. So they have a choice of either going top or bottom at this point, and just take all the exterior tower, because once you finish either top or bottom, their creep wave is gonna be there already too, and so they can take down the next tower. And with the super creeps down middle, they can take inhibitor pretty easy at this point too.
Okay, well, we'll have to see. I mean, you know, like you said, right now, you know, 4-0 is incredibly far behind, you know, for anyone watching. But a lot of it started with the really impressive play by Olaf, and then just having the superior early game team. So coming into the next game, you know, assuming that Mono is able to continue pressuring their advantage, what would you expect to see 4-0 do differently? Do you expect that, you know, maybe they don't allow the Olaf to pick to happen, or maybe not allow both Kennen and Gragas those, you know, strong AoEs? There's a lot of really strong AoE champs. You can't, you know, kind of ban them all.
I don't think they recognize Olaf as a problem. They probably at this point they think it's more of he's being fed and that's why he's doing so much. They might, because he was able to just run past the binding and smite dragon twice, and that was what really put them behind. I think the game-winning fight was the first dragon after Olaf smite stole it, and Aurelia started teleporting, and then Kennen was able to stun her with his ultimate, and really that put Mono in position to win the game. So other than that, I thought both team had a standing chance to win this game. Definitely Mono had the early game advantage, so it's going to look more like a stomp from then on.
And we do have Gragas just throwing off that ultimate. We do have the Shurelius from Taric. They're going to have to back out of there, but just too strong at this point. You know, they can continue pushing, and I don't know, there's nothing really that 4-0 can do in this situation. I don't. Do you think that they maybe pick a different jungler, one that, you know, can kind of put a little bit more pressure on the lanes than Shyvana, or is Shyvana just still strong?
Shyvana is just a really, really strong late game jungler because she's able to farm. And the thing that confused me this game was, for a big part of the game, Shyvana was behind on farm to Olaf, and so I felt like.
Wow, so we have Kennen coming in here with the flash ultimate. Gragas going to be able to pick up a couple of kills. Kennen's going to go down to Morgana after she Zhonya's, and then Misfortune actually being picked up with the snare underneath the tower, but otherwise, you know, Taric and Graves are going to have to get out of here. Gragas is going to try and come down, and there is the Ignite, but Graves is going to be able to pick up this kill onto Gragas.
Oh.
Even so, there's another inhibitor down, and Olaf is coming in for the Nexus turrets.
Oh, God. Gragas wanted that kill so bad. Basically what happened was he wanted to throw the barrel and kill Graves. He started the casting animation, then he got stunned. So immediately after the stun wore off, he casted to the exact same spot where he wanted to before he was stunned, and by then Graves was able to move out, and so when the barrel landed, you know, it wasn't gonna hit. But if that had hit, he would have been able to kill Graves and turn around and kill Taric as well.
Well, I don't know. Pretty wild. I guess we'll have to see, you know, whether or not we can see any more Gragas in the next game. He's definitely one of my favorite champions. One thing I'm kind of wondering about is Shyvana in the early game did stop jungling almost immediately to get a really early boots. And one of the strengths of Shyvana is that she can just kind of jungle constantly and clear the creep waves, but she just left half her jungle undone. Do you think that, you know, was maybe an issue that set her behind? Or was the boots still a strong purchase to try and get a little bit more early game pressure?
Basically, she went back for the boots just so she can look for a gank, because thing with Shyvana is she's all about mobility. She doesn't do damage unless she's next to somebody.
Right.
So she needs to be able to close that gap so she can get her burnout back on active. Because every time she hits, she refreshes burnout, and it lasts for 3 more seconds, up to 9 seconds. And so she really wanted those boosts so she can refresh burnout and get up in there and use her Dragon's Bite. And so I can see that if she's cleared enough of her jungle where she's comfortable going back and buying, then it shouldn't be a problem.
And we do have Shyvana coming in here trying to steal, and actually does steal it, but unfortunately Mono is probably going to be able to clear this up. Nintendo's getting very close to going down, but the rest of 4-0 is going to follow. Gragas does go down, but Misfortune's able to pick up a couple of kills. Able to get a Quadra, actually, and not able to get Graves. Come back, Graves. What are you doing denying Misfortune of this pentakill? But yeah, even regardless, with all the inhibitors down, she does have the movement speed advantage. Should be able to get him. I'm actually a little bit surprised that she hasn't caught up to him, but going to turn onto the inhibitor. I
felt like that should have been a penta. If Pixel landed the tornado, he would have been dead, no doubt in my mind. But this game is going to pretty much end right here because Graves not going to be able to get back to base, heal up in time to stop this. And even when he does come back out, I feel like Misfortune should be able to kill Graves still.
So, good game, 4-0. Actually, Graves able to pick up the kill onto Misfortune with that double buff. He's definitely going to get Jaina as well. He can stall out this game if he likes. You know, there's definitely, I don't know, there's not enough creeps there yet, so they will be able to do that.
I felt like she played that a little bit wrong because what happened was Jaina shielded MF when there was nothing hitting her, just for damage. And so it wasn't up when Graves was attacking her, and I would have just said, oh, I might not be able to take this anyways, and I would have just life leech off the creeps just a little bit. Because, you know, with Wriggle, she should be able to top off her health within maybe like 5-6 shots or something. And had that happen, she could have just turned on Graves and killed him.
I'm still kind of surprised that 4-0 was able to win that last fight, and I know a lot of it was that, you know, Mono was kind of distracted, but we had the beautiful Baron steal by Moxagerin here. On Shyvana, and I don't know, they seemed almost tanky enough where they can just survive the burst if they kind of just all jump onto Mono. So do you think, I don't know, maybe coming forward there's a fraction of a chance that they're, you know, almost to that tanky point? Because they did have a pretty good time of killing Olaf there.
I felt like if Mono played that a little bit better, this game would have been over. Basically, if Graves died, this game would have been over right now. And there's so much.
Gragas, he's going to be caught by Morgana here, trying to throw off the ultimate. Graves is going to be able to pick up the kill. So it'll continue to stall a little bit.
They are slipping real hard. You know the ace I was talking about?
Yeah.
And that Baron?
A
couple of dragons?
Well, the ace Baron and a couple of dragons, so we're a couple of dragons short still.
They got the 5 kill, they got the Baron. Now they need like 2 more dragons and maybe another ace. And then they can come back. But you know, definitely this game is just still in Mono's favor just because they have position on the map. And I feel like Kennen didn't get Hourglass because they thought the game was going to end, but you know, they put themselves in a bad situation now. So once Kennen's able to get that Hourglass, then the team fight's going to be a lot better for Mono. But right now,
Kennen's still 2K behind that Hourglass. I mean, I guess he could, you know, sell some of his items, but
like comeback realistically is still unlikely,
right?
But it can happen. I mean, just a couple of bad plays earlier just allowed Fornat to get those kills. But
and I guess even if they really wanted to, they could just rush the tower. We do have the Guardian Angel on Misfortune, and then Olaf could just, you know, throw off his ultimate, and they could just probably take it down really quickly. But I guess we'll see. They are probably going to be transitioning to bottom. I don't know. Playing a little bit cautiously. Got to wait until Gragas is back up.
I felt like the moment they group up again, Mono should be able to win the next fight. All they really need to do is just poke down tower a little bit, or poke down the champions a little bit until they can take the inhib. Mid's about to respawn, so they can take that immediately after, and they can just transition bottom and take that too, because there's nothing protecting their towers, so they can just take all the towers and inhib. And once there's 3 inhibs down, the super creeps is going to be too big of a problem for not to do anything about it.
We do have Olaf running in the middle of the team. He's going down pretty quickly, but all their focus is on him. So Kennen's actually pretty close to going down. Misfortune is just going to be throwing off her ultimate now, and we have Kennen as well. And Gragas is actually able to kill Graves there, but stalling out the push, I'm a little bit surprised that Misfortune, you know, I don't know, wasn't able to deal a little bit more damage. Everyone's staying pretty high, so I don't know, could probably be a little bit more aggressive, particularly since she has the GA. But I guess if they're able to, you know, pick off Misfortune quickly in a fight, the GA just, you know, allows them to clean up easier and then get a kill on her when she respawns. But they are coming over to try and take this inhibitor, and she should be able to grab it. And there's the inhibitor. Shyvana's going to be chasing down Gragas here. Going to be going down pretty quickly to Misfortune. They should be able to back out now with Janna.
I felt like they could have killed somebody there, even if it's 3v4, just because MF is just so much bigger, and since Graves is dead, right, there's nothing really holding them back. The moment Graves gets up, though, they gotta book it, because Graves is gonna be able to kill their entire team. I think Graves is approaching max items, or he already
Graves
is.
also has a Warmogs, so
he's already max item.
Yeah.
The Warmogs isn't really, you know.
I mean, it's kind of more so for Gragas, not to.
It's actually
just
more so for Olaf, because Olaf does true damage, and the only real solution to true damage is to get more HP. So he's like, oh, I'm sick of this Olaf running straight for me and just, you know, try and nuke me down really quick. I'm gonna get some extra life. And if he gets GA, of course he's going to get the second life, but he's not going to get a lot of HP. And Olaf's going to be able to melt right through all those armor with his true damage.
And we actually, I would think, probably have another Baron spawning in another about minute. So I don't know. I would hope that Mono would push it down, but I guess they, you know, could stall for that next Baron. They do seem to be coming mid. I'm still a little bit surprised. I mean, you know, looking at this game, as you've been saying, Mono probably could have won about 10 minutes ago. Do you think that that's something they're going to have to work on, might really hurt them in future games? Or?
Oh, it's a couple of misplays. I feel like if they... That just... It came down to that one tornado that missed. If that tornado had landed, this game would have been over. And Mono's just not playing to their strength right now. They just need a poke right now, and once a good poke lands, they can start the fight. And poking Graves right now without a hard engage immediately falling just really doesn't do anything, because he has enough life leech that he can just auto attack the creeps a couple times right after the casket and just top himself off. So what they need to do is they need to poke somebody without a significant amount of life steal, and then hard engage right after.
They are coming up for this Baron, and we did see 4-0 steal it last time. You were saying maybe another ace and another Baron would put 4-0, you know, right in the middle of this game. Now they are pretty tanky at this point, so a lot of that burst damage that Mono has is kind of negated. We'll have to see, you know, how it works out for them. We have seen Olaf kind of splitting from the team in a lot of these fights, so I guess it would be more key for, you know, good positioning from Mono. And like
but this
you said,
is a free Baron. If you look at the base, there's just so many creeps built up that they can't really defend against Baron. If they leave for Baron, they're going to lose their base, and the creep's going to build up. I think they actually lost another inhib just due to creep, so
a free Baron. Mono should be pushing now, and with that regen, it should be pretty tough for 4-0 to be able to deal with it. You don't think that, you know, at the point the game was in, they needed to just kind of go for it and see if they could get a quick ace and then get back to defend their base? Or
I felt like really if that happened and the fight had drawn out for too long, the game would have been ended by the super creep. So it's just like, you know, what do we do? Do we let the creep potentially kill our base, or do we try and end this? You know, a potential situation could have happened where they're doing Baron and 4-0 comes in, stop him, steals Baron, kill them all, send one back to defend the base, and can try and push for victory. They do have quite a ways to go with 3-4 people pushing, but that could have been a solution. But I think
we actually have Aurelia going to be taking down Misfortune up top. She will have that GA going, and then Olaf is going to be going back to try and help her. Kennon's going to go down quickly, and Morgana is going to go down, actually throwing off the Zhonyas, and so now it's between Shyvana and Gragas. Olaf, you know, was able to kind of get out of there, but Graves was able to pick up a couple of kills. They were able to get Misfortune, and is going to be chasing down Olaf now with that red buff, is going to be able to pick up that kill.
Oh
a
man,
huge
that was actually an
fight
even
for
fight.
4-0 again.
I mean, that fight was really, really even. And then I felt like Mono already won the fight, and then the Olaf just ran in and died. But this is gonna be really, really hard for him to defend because, oh, he cannot do that.
The creeps are pretty close to pushing in on their own, but Graves should be able to defend this. I'm surprised he went back for mana. He really just needs to be clearing these creeps. But I don't know. It's kind of surprising. We did see that 4-0 was able to kind of split the team fight. And, you know, with how strong Olaf is in this late game, like you were saying earlier, I'm surprised that he didn't do a little bit better. You know, even though they were able to split it, he actually went down to, I guess, Graves and Aurelia there. But the big thing was that Aurelia was able to jump over the wall on Misfortune early in the fight and take her down. So, I don't know. If they can split the team where all that AoE from Kennen and Gragas is kind of inconsequential, and then win in these small engages, then they have that potential.
What's getting me is Mono would win a team fight and then they would run in and just solo die afterwards. You know, they're giving up the advantage after they've already won. It's very, very easy for them to just regroup and go in as 3-man right after, right? Because there's only two. It's Tarek and Graves versus you know, Gragas, Olaf, and Janna, and they could have easily just grouped up and, you know, killed Graves right after.
And it's just so wild to think that 4-0 is legitimately back in this game, and that, you know, that double AP, which, you know, was really strong early on with Kennen and Gragas, just isn't as strong anymore against, you know, all these tanky bruisers. And even though they had that huge advantage, it seems like they might have, you know, given it up almost. So I mean, we'll see. They did lose all of that, you know, that huge Baron advantage, and another inhibitor has spawned once again. But I don't know. What is this kind of looking to you? Is it looking like 4-0's actually on the verge of making this miracle comeback? I
feel like so many times they could just
we keep talking. We're like, yeah, the game's over. Mono's, you know, already won, and 4-0's just winning these fights. We actually have Gragas coming down. He's actually going to go down pretty quickly to Graves. And here's Aurelia going to be chasing after him along with Shyvana. So they're going to be able to get that. We have Kennen coming in. So there's the Morgana Zhonya's. Kennen's going to Zhonya's as well. And Graves doing pretty well here, but Misfortune, no one getting onto her. Shyvana finally chasing her down. And this is, again, another one fight for 4-0. And where is Olaf? Olaf was overtaking the inhibitor.
So basically right now, like, Mono feels like they cannot win a 5v5 team fight. So what they're hoping to do is just have an open inhib, and when 4-0 tries to push, they're going to try and BD.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's the way to go. I felt like this game should have been ended a long time ago.
And the big thing is, now that it's into this late game, I mean, really either team, if we have a huge fight, just a huge ace, then the game could already be won. I mean, one of the teams, if 4-0 just keeps winning these aces, one of them, they're just going to go backdoor Mono's base. Or if they think they're strong enough, just continue to hold out for that next fight. I guess we'll have to see. I mean, I'd be kind of concerned if Mono is just going to come in and try and, you know, drop this base as a team, but I feel like the fights are lasting long enough that they should have enough damage. If Misfortune has her GA up again, it's up in another, you know, like 30 seconds. So with Misfortune's GA and with Olaf's ultimate, they could potentially just drop the base. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Do you think that, I don't know, that's going to be what they're going for, or do they really just need to win a fight?
So basically this is what happens, okay? If Olaf tries to run in and BD the base, they're going to have to fight disadvantage like last time.
Right.
And the chance of Mono winning, I mean, 4-0 winning the fight is so much higher. So if they don't win, if he can't end the game, they're going to be in the position where 4-0 can push. And depending on like how far they are and how many inhibs are up, they might be able to push for the win as well. So, you know, there's a lot of upside and downside to each situation. I think the best solution would be to just try and poke this tower. It's because naturally if the tower's up, people would just stand at bay behind it, and they feel really safe. So it's going to allow Mono to poke without like a real engage. Had that tower been down, you know, Fortnite would have less or feel less secure, which they shouldn't feel secure anyways. That tower is basically dead right now. So they're just going to stand there and get poked at by Gragas. So it might be a good thing that that tower is up, because if Mono can poke enough before they hard engage, they can definitely gib Fortnite. So let's see how this goes.
So they are just kind of forcing, wow, Graves taking a ton of damage on the Misfortune. Olaf has to throw off his ultimate, but he's got to get out of there, actually. And now Shyvana's chasing him down. We do have the Zhonya's from Morgana, and 4-0 is actually going to take this fight. Kennen once again throwing off the Zhonya's, but no one going down for 4-0, and Aurelia able to TP in there. Wow, actually, we have Tarek going down from the Ignite. I can't, I don't understand what's going on. I'm gonna have a AJ moment. You know, what's happening right now.
So what happened
I won't steal
was
that AJ. I know he's watching, and he's
MF
gonna be like,
wanted to take that tower really bad. He ran up and he got chunked by Graves. Because at this point, right, either Graves or MF, whoever they right click is gonna take a lot of damage. And so MF got chunked to half hit point, and that put her at a very, very big disadvantage. And so Olaf came up to finish that tower, and at the same time, because, you know, he's not attacking, they're attacking him, he's taking free damage while he's taking the tower. So just right off the bat, they're starting the fight at 2 players at half hit point. So, you know, just being that low, the burst potential on them dropping is very, very high. So that's basically how they lost the fight. They kind of went in and went out, and they weren't doing damage because Olaf was unable to damage because he was too low. He had to run back out. MF was also too low, that if he got in any sort of damage range, she would have been gib. So all she could have done was just stand back and channel her ult. So it didn't really end too bad. They did get the tower and they got Baron. So, you know, you think about it, the exchange was net positive 1 kill for 4-0, but Mono got a tower, got Baron, so they're not too awfully behind.
So looking at the items, everyone's, you know, built into their late game. We do have Tarek getting the Zeke's Herald, and, you know, we don't have the same from Mono. So do you think that that kind of team sustain, along with how tanky they are, will allow them to win these long fights if Gragas isn't able to effectively poke them down?
Basically, with all the lifesteal that Fortnite has at this point, Gragas poke isn't gonna be too deadly. There was a point where he can poke, and there just wasn't enough lifesteal for Fortnite to sustain it. So it's gonna come to a point where he can just throw down his casket and just engage and kill everybody. But at this point, everybody on Fortnite has a lot of lifesteal that even if a couple barrel lands, they're gonna be able to just sustain it right back just by auto attacking creeps. So it's going to be really, really hard for Mono to poke.
Well, we do have another inhibitor coming up for 4-0, so as long as they're, you know, able to keep them off the inhibitors and then continue winning a fight, it could, you know, start to quickly turn into their favor. You know, they have won, I don't know how many fights now in a row. It's just astounding with how much of an advantage Mono had. Like, there was a point in the game where I was just sitting there thinking, okay, well, you know, 4-0, I guess they've got that never surrender attitude, but I guess we can just, you know, kind of move into this next game. And here we see a number of mistakes, and then 4-0 capitalizing on them, able to push this into an incredibly late game, and, you know, potentially going to be able to pick up the win here.
I felt like it's one of those syndromes where, oh, we're so far ahead, we can take unnecessary risk and try and end it early. And I felt like that's exactly what happened and what got Mono in this situation. A couple of times, Gragas kind of just dove behind the tower and thinking he can kill him 1v2. Got picked off. Once again, Gragas was probably in jungle blue area and thinks he's relatively safe and got picked off. And that's happened over and over quite a few times, and I felt like it's happened enough where Fortnite's able to close the gap. Because if you think about it, right, at the beginning when they're down 15,000 gold, you know, it's not nearly as much as this late in the game. But even this late in the game, they're not down that much anymore either.
They were able to pick up the inhibitor, though, and Kennen's going to want to get out of there, but hit by the snare from Morgana. She's going to throw off the Zhonya's, and there we have Misfortune doing a huge amount of damage. Shyvana's going to be chasing after them. Kennen will be going down. There's the GA from Misfortune, And Shyvana and Aurelia are still doing strong here. Graves able to pick up another kill. Shyvana chasing after Janna here. Gragas going to be able to pick up that kill, but one inhibitor for another lost fight, and actually a second inhibitor. So definitely working out to Mono's advantage, even though 4-0 was able to win that fight.
I think they're trying to pick off Graves unsuspectingly, so I don't see him going down. If Gragas had a DFG, oh no, he's not even trying to. He's just trying to defend the base now. But it's basically 4-0's turn to push. There's enough people on Mono down that, oh, if he dies here too, that they can actually take not just, you know, tower, but probably inhibitor too.
Yeah, so Graves is going to be tanky enough to just drop that tower pretty quickly. I'm a little bit surprised he isn't backdooring it with no one up. But I guess he's just going to back off. They could take this dragon. That would be one of those dragons. They're not going to. I'm a little bit surprised that they're not just backdooring this tower right now.
I think what Graves should have done was probably just dropped about maybe half his hit point, tanking the tower, and then just life leech on the oncoming creeps. That would have given him some time to push a little bit more. But since Mono is up, there is 2 naked inhib. All they need to do is just push really, really slowly. And try and take that third inhib and have, they want to build a super creep wave up. So Mono would have to deal with more than just champion, because if there's creeps pushing and the fight lasts too long, the creeps can end the game. And that's the situation Mono wants to create for themselves at this point.
But even so, with, I mean, even the late game presence that Olaf has, all these strong tanky champs have been just kind of ignoring Gragas and Kennen. So if 4-0 is able to get a hard engage once again, you know, they definitely are kind of winning in that sustained fights.
Yeah, the gold gap is actually closing every single fight. I feel like it doesn't even matter unless it's for the jungle of support, because basically all 3 carries are at max items at this point. So right now it's just you're farming for support right now. It's actually a pretty good.
Almost getting picked off there. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that was a pretty good time for Mono to engage. You know, every time someone burns spells like that, there's not gonna be it's not gonna be up for the next 15 seconds. So, like immediately after Tarek and Morgana threw that binding, I felt like Mono could have fought that and just counter engage right there.
Oh, and there's the snare onto Kennen. She's gonna throw, or he's gonna throw off the ultimate, and then the Zhonya's, and going to be going down, and then Aurelia going to be chasing after the rest of them. The body slam, and then the flash out by Gragas, but Aurelia is going to be chasing them down. Misfortune being chased away by Graves. So another one fight, but in the meantime, Olaf is taking down this base, and he should be able to get it. There it goes. So finally backdooring the base while they're kind of stalling with the fight, and able to finally get that win. I don't know. It's been 30 minutes in the making.
I felt like the game was drawn out just a lot longer than it needed to be. Just so many glaring. Oh man, just so many things they could have done better. But it made for a really, really interesting show, I guess. It would have been crazy if Fortnite actually came back and won that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they were close. You know, we did say that it would be tough to stop the backdooring Olaf, but
like the one thing about that game is if you look at the gold distribution, right?
Okay.
If you look at the gold distribution, it's 25k to Graves. You're basically max item, right, at 20k. You know, the most expensive item is 4,025. You multiply that by 6 is about, you know, 24k. So even if she buys like 6 Trinity Force, it would have been capped out in gold. And really, like, you don't want 6 Trinity Force. You have like other items like maybe like BT and boots, which cost like 1,000 something. Oh, he actually sold his boots and he got a Phantom Dancer instead. So the gold distribution is everything went to Graves. Nobody else had gold, so he uses this hyper carry max item. And so I felt like if more money went to Morgana, that fight would have been a lot better for not. Same with Aurelia. That way, everybody else can do more. It came to the point where Graves killed all the creeps so fast that the scaling wasn't capping out. Whereas if you look at Mono, the gold is a lot more even, and everybody in general had, you know, closer to max item. So I felt like if Graves gave 2,000 or 3,000 gold to Morgana, 2,000 or 3,000 gold to Aurelia. They could have actually came back from that, but since he was able to just soak up all that gold and being already at max item, he wasn't able to just fully utilize all the gold that Fortnite had.
I still just can't believe that we had 2 inhibitors down around the 28-minute mark. I mean, that was about when they had their first 2 inhibitors, and 4-0 was able to stall out the game until a full hour. We had a full hour game there.
That was a really long game. I felt like I've already finished my job. Usually you go in, you cast a little bit, and you cast 1 game. Okay, it's over 30 minutes. Cast 2 games. Okay, that's 30 minutes. And then I was like, oh man, that's an hour. Oh crap! Hopefully I don't have to cast another hour.
Well, I don't know. Pretty wild match. We did see the really aggressive play from Mono. Was able to take a huge early game advantage. Olaf just, I don't know, pretty monstrous in the jungle. I was a little bit surprised that he wasn't able to do as much late game. But I don't know. We'll have to see how that carries into the next game. What 4-0 can kind of do to get that early game advantage back on their end. Do you think that they might take a more gank central jungler than Shyvana?
I felt like Shyvana was a fine pick. It's just I think what lost him that game was just that first dragon fight. I've said it twice now. Just they set it up so where Aurelia can teleport in. Yeah. And secure that dragon, but it just never happened because I think she was just too far out of tower, and so Kenna was able to just jump on her and just stun her and not allow that. But I felt like if Aurelia was able to close in on Dragon, she would be able to zone out Mono and just potentially pick up Dragon. Even if they lost Dragon, having Aurelia there, they would have been able to pick up a couple kills, and it would have broke even.
All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in. This is Game 1, 4-0 versus Mono of Killing Spree. I'm the Red Baron at Baroncast. With me is Dan Din, and I'm going to be swapping out here after this commercial break. And AJ is going to come in, Hat Person. He's going to lead you the rest of the way, or actually, depending on whether it goes to in Game 3, we'll have to see. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Continue to watch. We'll be right back after this commercial break.